I'll start, and I apologize that I did not have a PowerPoint, but 16% is what I always start, and I actually started this when I did my presentation in the fall. 16%, that was the amount of students that Breathitt County High School had that were career and college ready, which was unheard of. We were distraught when we started seeing these numbers. And the next year, this was probably back in 2012, 2013, when we started in 2013-14, that increased to 32%. Still nothing to write home about. We were still embarrassed by this. We had to do something at our high school because we were doing a disservice to our students. Our students were not college and or career ready. So we had to do a total reshift of how we were preparing our students. And I also put some other demographics there. We had an 89% attendance rate, and our graduation rate was at 85%. So we're in a unique situation in Breathitt County. We are actually under state management, meaning the Department of Education is in total control of our district. We have been in state management for about 3 years. We are starting to see a shift back to the district regaining some of control. We actually now have a working superintendent. We still have a state manager that is in our district, but is not there all the time. So we're starting to see that shift come back, which is a great thing because that means that we're doing the stuff that we should be doing in our district. As far as curriculum, instruction, attendance, we had to do a whole audit of every management piece of our district. So we've gone through a lot, to say the least. But getting back to our mentoring, when we saw these numbers of college or career readiness, we had to do something. So we started off by first trying to understand what college and career readiness meant. Now, you would think that that's something that we should know, but unfortunately, a lot of us did not know. So we had to make sure that we understood what the terminology, what benchmarks were, what it meant to be career ready, what it meant to be college ready. So we did a lot of training with our central office staff. We wanted to make sure that we understood, and then we went out to our high school and started talking to our staff. And believe it or not, when we started talking to our teachers, they had no idea what college and career readiness. They had no idea what the benchmarks were. So that was very eye-opening. But we didn't stop there. We actually went into our elementary schools, even to our preschool classrooms, and we started talking to them, saying, you know, even though you're not going to use the specific language that we use in our high school, you still need to start having conversations about what it means to be college ready. What do we mean when we talk about career readiness? So we started having those conversations with our elementary schools as well. So once we did that, we started looking at our career pathways at our high school. And unfortunately, our high school did not know what pathways that they actually offered, which is very sad. So we had to do a revamp of our pathways. We started looking at what CTE courses that we offered, and we kind of streamlined into a better path of what our students could, what they could take. We also started working with our local ATC, and we are very fortunate in Breathitt County. We have an ATC that is right next door. It's actually on our campus. So we started having a great collaboration with them and working hand in hand, a very good partnership. So we started seeing some success with that. Then we developed what we called our mentoring list for our seniors. We started with our seniors, and I hate to say this, but it was almost too late with our seniors. By the time that we started talking with them, their career pathways had already started, or the lack of. And what we found, some students would take a photography class when they were freshmen, then they would switch over to agriculture when they were sophomores, and then by the time they were juniors, they were going in the ATC and they were taking automotive, carpentry. They were not on a true career pathway. So we had to make sure that first, do the students understand what pathways we offer? What do they want to do with their lives? Is there something that we offer at our high school that if they want to do as a career, do we have something that they can take? So we started doing some surveys with our students. We started mentoring with our seniors, and basically those were the questions we were asking. What do you want to do with your life? Where do you want to live? And that's a huge question that we need to ask every day, because if a student wants to live in Jackson, Kentucky, or they want to live in Hazard, Kentucky, or Pikeville, what jobs do we have here that's going to make you successful? So when we started having conversations with that, a lot of kids said, well, I don't want to leave Jackson, I want to stay here. That's great, wonderful place to live, but what are you going to do for a job? Because unfortunately, we do not have the industry that we once had. You may have to travel. So looking at having questions about that, our students started to realize, well, maybe I need to start thinking about this a little more and putting a little more time in it. So the mentoring, we started with our seniors, and the way that our central office did this, we actually took 12 students each. Doesn't sound like a lot, but we have a small high school. And we also started working with our administrators in our high school. And what we found, it was very powerful because we started making a connection with those students. And you would think that this would be automatic for a teacher, automatic for an administrator, but a lot of times we get caught up in the hoops, or we get caught up doing this, that, and the other thing. And we truly miss what is very meaningful, and that is building a relationship with those students. So when we started talking to our students and we started laying out the foundation of what's most important, coming to school, being on time, coming to your classes, making sure that you do not have any behavior incidents, making sure that you keep your grades up. And just those simple conversations started building very good relationships with our students. And they would come to us and they would bring questions to us, which we had not had in the past. When I would walk through the cafeteria, I'd have a student come to me and say, hey, when are we taking the ACT? Or I really want to take that work keys again because I didn't beat my benchmark. When you start having conversations like that, that's when it becomes very powerful, and you know what you're doing is working. So we started with our seniors, and we started dipping down in our juniors. Now, I'm director of special education, so at our high school, we probably have roughly around maybe 60 to 65 kids that are students with special needs. So I took it upon myself. I didn't want to stop with our juniors and seniors. I wanted to deep down even into the sophomores and freshmen. So I started mentoring them all. And I talked with our special education staff at our high school, and I asked them, I said, we need to make a vested interest in this. We really need to start pushing the mentoringship. We offer an advisor-advisee class during our school day. Perfect opportunity for our teachers to really mentor. So with what I was doing with them, unfortunately, I couldn't meet with them every week. I tried my best, but I wear many hats. I'm also side-based coordinator. I'm also preschool coordinator, school health. I've got many hats. So I did what I could. But every week, I made it a point that a dedicated time, I would go to Breathitt County High School and I would do my mentoring with my students. And as we started doing this, we actually built an incentive program, and that's kind of where the AL with my project. We wanted to do an incentive project where we looked at 3 areas, and we made a contract with our students at the beginning of school. We look at their grades, no grade below C, have to have a C average in all classes. We also look at their behavior, no behavior incidents. We don't want them, we don't need them, you don't need them. And then we also looked at their attendance. We have a district policy that says no more than 6 unexcused events, and that could be a tardy or that could be an absent. So we started using the district policy, and that's what we went by with attendance. Now, what we did with our incentive, it wasn't anything elaborate. We just fed them. We used our own money, our staff did. We would just pull together and we'd say, all right, let's just throw a party for them, an hour. After every 9 weeks, we would throw a party. The students that met those criteria, we would do. So the first time we did our incentive, we had 13 kids that met incentive. But what happened was, when we had those incentives, the word started getting out. Hey, how come these kids got to do this? What did we do? And the kids that didn't meet it, we had conversations with them. Do you understand why you didn't get incentive? So we really beefed up our mentoring process through that. Once that occurred, the next 9 weeks, that shot up to over 36 students. So it really worked. What we were doing, it was an intentional focus, and our students really enjoyed the conversations that we were having with them. It really made a difference. So, very simple, you would think, but unfortunately, we didn't do it enough. So as we started doing this throughout the first year, took off. The next year, I made it a point with our special education staff. I said, let's be the model for our school. Let's start looking, why should we just incentivize our special education students? Why can't we do this in our history department? Why can't we do this in our math department? So that was our goal, to start filtering this mentorship and this incentives, these incentives into other categories. So we started doing that this year. We started with our history department, and the students really thrived on this. And it wasn't just special education students, it was regular education students. So our results, our student incentives began to grow. We just completed our third incentive a couple weeks ago, and we had over 56 students. Remember I said we had about 65 students that on caseload, so that is tremendous. That means that what we're doing is working. The students care. Our students began to talk the talk. You kind of talked about that with knowing benchmarks, ACT, and work keys. We had some great news on our ACT scores. I'm not going to share that, but we had a tremendous gain this past year, so we're very excited about that. And our staff began to have crucial conversations about data with students. The students started knowing their data. They understood that, hey, I need one more point to meet benchmark to get the certificate in work keys. So when the students start having those conversations, again, you're doing what you need to do. So at current time, we have 79% college and career ready, and that will continue to grow. We're hoping to be over 85%, so we're really pushing that. We're really excited about that. Our attendance rate is up to 94%, so that's incredible for us. And again, I said the process of beginning the model for the whole school. We've got our middle school principal back there, so we're really pushing for him to start doing these initiatives as well, so incentives. So it's been a really good success, and the mentoring was a huge piece of it. There are other pieces that also went into this. We had to do some attendance policy changes, really enforce those, and so it's really been a school-wide and a district-wide initiative. But the AALL has been we've been very fortunate to be part of this. The partnerships that we've been able to grow with this has been incredible. Just the collaboration and the conversations that we've been able to have. So I was very fortunate. I appreciate it, and I appreciate Jennifer Carroll for all the work that she's done with this. Any questions about what I presented?